We are the Armed Attorneys. Today, we are discussing Texas Penal Code 30-5. That's our general trespass statute and what it means for constitutional carriers here in the Lone Star State and license holders. So first things first, what does the 30-5 sign do, Emily?
Yeah, so 30-5 signs are essentially our newest no gun sign here in the state of Texas. This became a new sign for us on September 1st, 2021 with the passage of the Firearm Carry Act of 2021. And this is what's going to prohibit firearm carry for some Texans into private locations.
And so when we're talking about 30-5 signs, a lot of questions we get about the sign are what constitutes notice under this sign? And as license holders, a lot of folks are used to 30-6 and 30-7 notice. You're used to that English, Spanish, block letter, 1-inch contrasting colors prominently displayed with the statutory language at the entrance of a building. And that is not the standard of 30-5. It's an important reminder that is not the standard. The standard that we're dealing with is reasonably likely to come to the attention of a person entering the building. And so what does that mean? That could be a lot of different things.
Yeah, and it's going to be particularly confusing because if you go through and you read the new Texas Penal Code 30-5, it actually gives some specific language that looks a lot like the signs LTC holders are used to looking at. But that's really not the end of the story here. I mean, we have, and it's too much for this discussion, but we have statutory interpretation that's really sort of putting all of that into the corner and letting these very vague signs come to the forefront. I mean, do you want to just go through what kind of vague signs people need to look for?
Yeah, it could be anything. It could look a lot like a 30-6 and 30-7 sign that just says, hey, this constitutional carriers, you can't come in here. It could be a no firearm sign. It could be a big red letters that say no weapons. It could be a Ghostbuster sign with a gun in the middle of it. So, but the standard that's important to reiterate, it could be anything. So long as it's reasonably likely to come to the attention of the person entering the premises, the building or the portion of the building, that's going to constitute notice under 30-5. Now, an important question that we get, so we're talking about constitutional carriers there. That's the trespass sign that they need to be paying attention to. But a question we get a lot is, do these signs apply to license holders?
Yeah, and the answer is generally no. So it doesn't mean that you can ignore every gunbuster sign, every no firearm sign you see if you have a license. You need to be sure that the premises you're entering into isn't off limits by statute. Because if it is, you can't just ignore that gunbuster sign. You've got to know, okay, I know this is a school, and so I see a gun with a line through it. I can't just ignore that because schools are off limits under statute. But if we're really talking about a private location, like a mall, like a grocery store, and you have a license to carry a handgun in Texas, and you see just the gun with a line through it, a 30-5 statutory language sign, anything like that, as an LTC holder, you do get to walk on past, not worry about it, still keep your eye out for the 30-6, 30-7. Richard, if you're a constitutional carrier and you do walk past one of these new 30-5 signs, what's the penalty?
So we're looking at, it's going to be typically a Class C misdemeanor, punishable by a fine only of up to $200. So our example, let's say we have a grocery store that has this, a no firearm sign prominently displayed at the entrance, and a constitutional carrier, somebody carrying under the authority of the Firearm Carry Act of 2021, if they walk past that sign and they're discovered carrying, they are trespassing. That's what trespass is at the end of the day. It's entering a location knowing that entry is forbidden, or remaining in a place after being told to depart. And so our constitutional carrier that walks past that sign, they're trespassing. So they could face a fine of up to $200. And it's important to note there is kind of a defense for license holders if they were to accidentally trespass. That same defense does not extend to constitutional carriers. So it's important to remember that. And then as always, if somebody with apparent authority, a store manager, employee comes up and says, hey, we don't allow guns here, and you don't depart, it could become a Class A misdemeanor trespass, which is much more severe. That's up to a year in jail, up to a $4,000 fine, or both of those things. So if somebody tells you to leave, you got to leave. You got to respect property rights.
Yeah, the worst thing you could possibly do is when that person who works for the business comes up and says, I see you're carrying, you need to leave, is stand there and say, you didn't post a sign. They don't have to. Whether you're a constitutional carrier or a license holder, it doesn't matter. Once you've been given notice to depart, you must immediately depart, or you do risk that very serious Class A misdemeanor, which not only is it an arrestable offense, if you have a license to carry, you risk losing it.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed this overview of Texas Penal Code 30-5. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this content, hit that like button, consider subscribing, and join the fight against the anti-gun algorithm by sharing this video.
And as always, we appreciate y'all's questions and your discussion in the comments section below. And until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.